Hello viewers, welcome to K Diagnostics. Dio here. Today we have a 2004 Honda Odyssey with a 3.5 liter. The customer complaint on this vehicle is the driver's side window fell into the door. When the window fell in the door, after that she couldn't get the window to roll back up. So she bought this plastic bag to cover this area. So as you can see, there's a plastic bag here, so this is not normal. So this looks like this window regulator is defective. Usually what causes the window to fall on its own inside the door is a defective window regulator. So we're gonna have to replace this window regulator. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of this plastic cover over here. So this plastic bag that she put here. So we're gonna remove this. And then I'm gonna bring you guys over here around the door panel so I can show you the screws that we have to remove so we can remove the door panel. So this door panel over here has to come out. After we remove the door panel, then we will get access to the window regulator. So I'm gonna bring you guys over here so I can show you the screws we're gonna remove. Alright guys, so now I'm gonna show you how to remove this door panel. So there is a screw over here behind this door handle. So we're gonna remove that. This is a Phillips screw. So here comes the first screw. Now there's another screw over here that we have to remove. So there's another Phillips screw over here. Alright, so here comes the second Phillips screw. So now we can remove the door switch. So the master switch can come out. So there's an electrical connector here. So there's a tab. You have to push this tab down and then pull the connector out. So we're gonna do the same thing on this one over here. So right there. So we can get the master switch out of the way. Alright, so the switch is removed. So now we're gonna remove this door handle. So the door handle is gonna slide forward and then out. Okay, so there is a little rod over here for the latch. So basically what you do with this rod is you push this plastic tab outward. So this tab over here, you push it out and then you remove the rod. So you just lift the rod right there. So this little plastic holder over here holds this rod, so it prevents it from coming out with the vibration. Okay, so you basically just push it out and get it out of the way, and then the handle comes out. Actually there's an electrical connector here that we have to disconnect. So right there, we're gonna take that one out. So right there, the door handle is removed, so I'm gonna get this out of the way. Alright, so after removing the door handle, we're gonna remove this speaker cover. Actually, before we do that, let's get rid of all this stuff here. So we're gonna remove the speaker cover. I'm just gonna pry this out like that. So here comes the speaker cover. We're gonna remove that and put that over there. And over here around the speaker, we have 3 Phillips screws that we have to remove. So we're gonna remove this one, and that one over there. So we're gonna get these removed. Alright, so that's all for all the screws that hold the door panel on the door. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pry the door panel outward so we can remove it. So I'll sit you guys over here so I can pry out the door panel. Actually, before we remove the door panel, we're gonna have to remove this plastic piece over here. It looks like it didn't even have the tabs. The tabs for it are broken. So this one over here has metal tabs that hold it on the door, but it looks like someone had already been here, so this was just sitting over here. So you're gonna remove this first, and then we're gonna pry this door panel out. So now let's do that. So we're just gonna grab the bottom of the door panel and then pry it out. So right there. So then we're gonna lift the top. Okay, so here comes our door panel. So there is a electrical connector over here for the speaker. I'll bring you guys over here so I can show you how to disconnect the electrical connector of the speaker. Alright, so our door panel is almost out. We're gonna disconnect this electrical connector over here. So this blue connector is gotta get disconnected. So right there. Okay, so this one goes down over here, and now we're gonna disconnect the speaker. So the electrical connector of the speaker has two tabs on each side, so we're gonna press down on them and then pull out. So now our door panel can now come out. So let's just lift it and get it out of the way. Alright guys, the door panel is removed. I see some duct tape over here. So this is duct tape. So this is not factory. It looks like someone had already been here. So this window regulator had been replaced before. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this bracket and this little module. Okay, and then we're gonna pry this out. Okay, so we're gonna remove this so we can get access to the window regulator. I mean, the window is right here. So now let's remove this bracket and this module. All right, so I'm gonna remove this little bracket over here. All right, so now we're gonna remove these duct tapes. So I'm gonna have to remove this completely. Actually, it's just gonna be easier if we take it out all the way. Alright, so we are making progress. So over here, it looks like someone duct taped the electrical connector of the electric motor. Okay, whoever did this job really lacked duct tape. Okay, so this is the electrical connector of the electric motor. So I'm going to disconnect that. Okay, we got the electrical connectors of the window motor disconnected. So now we're gonna remove the bolts that hold the window regulator on the door. So we have two 10mm bolts up here for the window regulator. So we got two up here, and then we have two more down here. These are 10mm bolts, and then we have three over here. So these three bolts hold the window motor on the door. So we're gonna undo these three bolts, and then these two, and then the other two up here. Okay, but before we do that, we're gonna have to lift up the window first, because this is the window right over here. Okay, so the window is actually attached to the window regulator, and it's attached to the window regulator by two little bolts back here. And right now this regulator is completely worn out, so the window is stuck at the bottom point. So it's stuck down here. I cannot lift it up. So removing these two bolts that hold the window on the regulator will be pretty tough. So I'm gonna bring you guys around this angle so I can show you the bolts that I'm gonna remove so that we can separate the window from the window regulator. Alright, so before we remove the bolts that hold the window regulator on the door, we're gonna have to remove these bolts over here so that we can lift the window up. So you see this 10mm bolt? So this bolt over here is what holds the window on the window regulator. So we're gonna undo this one. So there are two of them. There's one over here, there's another one on the other side. So since the window is stuck at the bottom, removing these bolts is gonna be a little bit difficult. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use a wrench and I'm gonna go through here and undo this bolt, and then I will undo the other one on the other side. I mean, I can't lift the window, so it's really difficult. And when you have a window that's stuck at the bottom, removing those bolts can be pretty fun. So I'm gonna undo those two bolts and then I'm gonna lift up the window all the way up. We're gonna use some duct tapes to hold the window up, and then we will remove the window regulator. So I'm gonna undo those two bolts and then I'll bring you guys back up. So these bolts are at a weird angle, so I can't really show them to you while I'm removing them. So I will get these removed off camera and then I'll bring you guys back up once I get those two bolts removed. So now I'm removing the bolts that hold the window on the window regulator. So here comes the one on this side. I already removed the one on the other side, so now I can lift the window. So here comes the window. I'm gonna use some duct tape to hold the window up. So I'm gonna lift this. So I'm gonna use some duct tape here to hold the window up. Alright, so the window is held up, so now we can remove our window regulator. So we're gonna remove these two bolts down here first. And then I'm gonna remove these three bolts that hold the window motor in place. So I can just lift the window motor up. So up and out. So right there. So now I'm gonna remove the last two bolts that hold the window regulator down. So now the window regulator can come out. So the window regulator is gonna come out with the window motor. So let me disconnect this. Alright, so here comes the window regulator and the window motor. So this thing over here is defective. So if you look over here in the back, you will see that the cable, you see how the cable is sticking out? The cable for the regulator is sticking out. So this unit here is defective. It looks like it got jammed up in there. So that's why it can no longer go up and down. Okay, so we gotta replace this with a new one. So I'm gonna get this out of the way. I will show you the new part and then we will install the new window regulator. Alright guys, so here is the old window regulator that we just removed. So this is the bad one, and here is the new one. Right there is the part number. So that's the window regulator with the motor. So we're gonna get it out of the box. So let's open this up. So here is our new window regulator. So let's get the box out of the picture here. Alright, so here is our new window regulator and motor. So that's the old one. So now I'm gonna get this one out of the bag. Alright, so I got the new window regulator out of the bag. So this is the new one, and this here is the old one. So what do you see? Can you tell the difference between the new one and the old one? Well, look at this piece over here and look at that one. So this one is actually attached on the new one. This piece is attached to these two cables on each side of this rail. But this one over here, you see the cable over here is not even attached. Okay, so this cable is supposed to be attached to this piece. So as you can see, this piece was only attached to one cable. So it was only attached to one side, and this side was completely disconnected. Okay, so this is the problem. And over here on this regulator, on the motor, you will see that there's a little bit of a cable sticking out. Okay, so it looks like the cable is jammed up in there. So this is definitely toasted. This is defective. So we're gonna take this to the vehicle and install it. Okay, so we're gonna install this new window regulator. Once we install this, the window will be able to go up and down with the switch. So now let's take this to the vehicle and install it. Alright guys, so now we're gonna install this new window regulator and motor. So basically at this point, the installation process is the reverse process of the removal process. So we're going to insert this window regulator and the motor through this opening over here. So this is gonna go this way. So right there. Alright, so now I'm gonna put my hand in here so I can lift the motor and seal it over here. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold the regulator on one hand, and then the motor is gonna go right there. Okay, so I got this bolt. So one bolt of the motor sticking out here. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So now I'm gonna put the other two bolts. Alright, so I got all the bolts of the window motor started. So now I'm gonna fish this electrical connector through here. Alright, so here's the electrical connector of the window motor. So now I'm going to install the 4 10mm bolts that hold the window regulator on the door. So right there. So now I'm gonna put the bolt for the window regulator on. Alright, so I got all the bolts for the window regulator started, so now I'm gonna tighten them. Alright guys, I got the bolts for the window regulator tightened. So now I'm gonna reconnect the master switch so I can raise up the window mount. There's a mount over here on the window regulator that's sitting down. I'm gonna have to move it up all the way up to these holes so I can get access to the holes between the mount and the window so I can install the window bolt. Okay, so these holes over here will allow us to install the 10mm bolts that hold the window on the regulator. So I'm gonna connect the master switch so we can raise up the window mount. We're gonna reconnect the window motor. Alright, so now I can reconnect the master switch so I can lift up this mount over here. Alright, so now I'm going to turn the key on. So I don't know if you can see in there, I have two holes right now lined up with these openings. So now I'm going to lower the window so we can line up the holes on the window mount with the holes on the bottom of the window so we can tighten the window to the regulator. I will get the bolts started and then I'll show you. Hopefully you can see these holes, but then I'll bring you close to these openings so you can see the bolts I'm talking about. So now I'm going to lower the window. Alright, so I'm going to lower the window. So I'm gonna have to make sure that the holes on the window lined up with the holes on this mount. So right there, everything is lined up. So I'll bring you guys over here so I can show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so I've lowered the window a little bit. So now the window is sitting on its mount. So I hope you can see in there. So as you can see, there's an opening there. So I'm gonna have to put a bolt there. And then I'm gonna have to put the bolt on this one also, okay? So these over here will hold the window on the window regulator, okay? So I'm going to put the bolts there and then we're gonna try our window one more time before we start putting everything back together. Alright, so we tightened the two 10mm bolts that hold the window on the window regulator. So now let's try our repair. Let's see if after replacing this window regulator we will be able to roll this window up and down. So now let's try that. So I'm gonna try to roll the window up right there. Now let's roll it down. Perfect. This is fixed. So right there, as you can see, this is fixed. The window is now going up and down. So the issue was a defective window regulator. So now I'm gonna put everything back together. Remember before, the window was stuck at the bottom point. The window was stuck in the door, so the customer couldn't get the window to go up and down. She actually had to cover this area with a plastic bag, which was really funny. So now I'm going to put everything back together. Putting everything back together is the reverse process of the removal process. I'm gonna put the door panel back on and then we're gonna try the window one more time. Then we will wrap up this video. So now let's reinstall the door panel. So I'm going to remove this master switch first. So let's get the master switch removed. Let's get this little module removed. So now we're gonna put this plastic shielding over here that covers the door. So these wires will go through here. Alright, so now I'm gonna reinstall this door module. So now I'm gonna install this bracket that supports the door panel. So this bracket is gonna go over here. So now we're going to reconnect this module. So at this point our door panel can come back on. So now we're going to install the door panel. The door panel has plastic tabs over here that hold it on the door. So these tabs over here hold the bottom of the door panel on the door. Okay, so I'm going to connect this blue electrical connector over here on this wire. So I'm gonna do this. So you have to make sure that the top part hooks up first. Alright, so the top part is hooked. So now we're gonna make sure everything over here is lined up. So we're gonna tap the door panel in. So the plastic tabs are snapped in place. So that's good. So now we're gonna install our master switch and the Phillips screws around the speaker. Alright, so we got all the screws around the speaker tightened. So now we're gonna install the speaker cover. So this cover is gonna go this way. So right there, the speaker cover is installed. So now we're gonna install this cover up here. So right there, this cover is installed. So now we're gonna install the inside door handle. Alright, so here is our inside door handle. So we're gonna reconnect this electrical connector first. Right there. So then we're gonna install this rod over here. So right there, the rod is locked with this little locking piece. So now we can make sure that our door handle is sitting. So you push the door handle in and then you push it back. So right there. So now we can install the screw that goes over here. Alright, so that's good. We got the inside door handle installed. So now the last thing is going to be installing the master switch. Alright, so I'm going to reconnect the electrical connector on this side, so that's connected. So now we're gonna reconnect this one over here. So right there, I hope you heard the click. So the master switch electrical connectors are connected. So now we can install the master switch. So you basically just sit it down and then push it forward a little bit, and right there. So now we're gonna install the other screw over here that holds the master switch down. Alright, so the master switch screw is tightened right there. So that's good, guys. Our door panel is installed. So now let's verify our repair before we wrap up this video. Alright guys, the door panel is installed. So now we're gonna verify our repair before we send this vehicle back to the customer. So we already did test this without the door panel being on. The window was able to go up and down, so that was good. So now that we got everything back together, let's double check it one last time before we wrap up this video. So I'm going to roll the window up and down. I already have the key on the dash. So let's see if this window is gonna go up and down using the master switch. So right there, the window closes all the way. That's good. So let's roll it down all the way. So right there, the window rolls down. So that's good. So this is good. This looks good. Remember, this vehicle came to us with a plastic bag covering this area. Now the window is going up and down. This vehicle is fixed. The problem was a defective window regulator. I'm gonna leave this right over here. This is how you remove and replace a window regulator on this 2004 Honda Odyssey. I hope you like this video. If you do like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumb down. But if you do, you gotta tell me why so we can make better videos in the future. If this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell so you can get notified every time I upload a new video. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.